I'm here with Lynette Lucas, who is seeking election for the school board position, District 4, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And I'm asking the same questions of all the candidates. You are acknowledging to me and to everyone viewing that you have not had any foreknowledge of the questions that I'll be asking,
No.
even though we're friends. I have not previously shared this information with you, correct?
You have not.
Okay. All right. I have a different type of question to start the conversation. So tell us something unique about yourself.
Something unique. I don't know if it's unique. I grew up on a farm. I love horses. So since we live in the middle of the city now, a lot of people would not know that real well. But I also am a photographer, and I love to do photography and to work with people.
Wonderful. Okay. What do you bring to the table that will enhance our school board?
I will bring to the table that I have a lot of experience with. I raised 4 boys, and they're all adults now. And 2 of them I homeschooled. One had dyslexia, and so I had a really hard time getting help for him. I homeschooled him and another one of mine, and the other 2 graduated and went through public school. I also was a assistant teacher. Well, I was PTO. I helped as room mom. I was like very involved with my sons in their classrooms. And then they all got to know me, and so I became PTO president at a middle school in Albuquerque, New Mexico. We moved here 20 years ago, so we were in Albuquerque at the time. And so we helped fund things like, which is funny, now that I'm a photographer, a camera for the photography department, and things like that was extra that they would come and ask us, and we would raise funds, and we would help out the teachers for supplies and things like that, and do a big teacher's breakfast. And then I became an assistant teacher in a high school that was very for the behavior department. And I never wanted to be a teacher when I was young, but I found out that I absolutely loved it. So we moved here, and I thought about getting involved in the school, but then my son was very dyslexic, having a lot of behavior issues, got into the wrong area, the wrong groups, and was going in a bad direction, and I thought it was much more important to homeschool my son at the time. And then we ended up fostering for 5 years in the middle of all that. So I homeschooled too, and we fostered and had 20 plus some kids come through. And so I put them at the charter school a lot of times, but if that didn't work out for their situation, I would put them at Central or Bowie. Bowie is the school that is where my sons attended. And I just have kept up with policy. I did a lot of testifying on bills, not this session, but last session, with my own time and my own money. And I went to the Capitol, our Texas Capitol, and I testified. And I was there testifying on life bills and things like that, and to keep our freedoms. But also, I started paying a lot of attention while being there all day long on bills that are coming at us in policy that have to do with schools and things that affects our students. So I have always had, I think that it's important, our future kids growing up are important to our community, and to build businesses and to buy homes and all the things that they're going to do when they get out of school and graduate.
So what motivated you to step up and run for school board?
Well, there's just a lot of things that, one thing was the downward grades of our schools. And I think all our schools are important. I don't think there should be a this side of town and that side of town. I think that all our schools are really important. And when I went and testified on some bills, I heard of some really awesome incentives they were doing for teachers, that they were taking top teachers from one school and giving them an incentive and maybe an extra pay to go to another school and bring their grades up and get that school excited about reading and learning and to get things going in that school. So the teachers were just, some teachers don't want to and some teachers would want to, and then it really made a difference so far how that worked, and just different ideas like that will not put a burden on the taxpayer, that we could stay within the budget, but we could get these kids excited to learn and to have the right programs.
Do you currently have children or grandchildren in SAISD?
I do not. I pay a lot of taxes, my property taxes, but I do not have any grandkids yet. Hopefully someday. I do have a son that's married that lives in San Angelo, and I hope someday I have, no pressure, but I hope someday I have grandkids.
All right, I'm gonna change it a little bit. I'm gonna kind of give you some various topics, kind of like a bullet point, to get your perspective on. So your perspective on these topics: transgender restrooms and showers.
I definitely think that we need to protect our young ladies and our young men and the boys and girls, and they should have their own restrooms and own showers. And we should keep it by biological.
Okay. Teaching sexuality options to elementary age children.
Now, repeat the question again.
Teaching sexuality options to elementary age children.
I do not think that whole, in fact, I testified on the curriculum for this at the state level, Texas board, and the parents have their values, we have our religious freedoms, and I do not think that should be taught to our children. I think we should teach as parents. I'm very much for parental rights, and we should teach those values to our own kids.
Okay, critical race theory.
The critical race theory is very toxic, and it's dividing people by race. And I remember I grew up in a world where we were just kids, and we all wanted to be, actually it was who was top grades or something like that. But we also had citizenship awards where it was like, hey, you did a really great, you helped your teammate, or you helped your fellow class person in their reading. I mean, we would help each other. I was actually a freshman tutored by a senior that helped me with my debate class, and she helped me get more creative with my writing and my speeches, which I didn't like to do speeches at the time, but it was, I think that kind of thing is just awesome to encourage mentoring with the students that are top in certain areas, math, whatever, and they can go and they can help out the students that are struggling.
All right, misinformation and omission in our textbooks today.
So I'm getting repeated.
Okay, misinformation and omission in our textbooks today.
We need to pay attention to what the curriculum is, and I was very interested because when I found out that they write their own curriculum here, where we need to make sure where's the accountability, that everything in the textbooks is factual, that it's history. There's some awesome resources out there like Wall Builders. He's awesome at history. There's Hillsdale college has a lot of awesome resources, and they know their history, they know their, they know classical reading, they know a lot of stuff that we could implement some of those in our schools, and we would know we were getting the actual history and it wasn't being snuck into any other of our subjects.
Old-fashioned reading, writing, and arithmetic.
Yes, reading, writing, arithmetic, that's what our kids need to have, and hard work ethic, I would add into that. But when you give them success, and they feel successful at reading, writing, arithmetic. Of course, I'm way back in the old school. We did a lot of research without computers and cell phones and stuff, so we really had to research. It's kind of nice to look up it on Google sometimes.
All right, teaching life skills.
Yes. I two of the classes that were really helpful to me as an adult and having a family was home ec, and we had to budget, and we had to put together a meal, and we invited our parents and got to present them with a meal and be a hostess, and that was very good for us, and then also we would make snacks for some of the sports events or something like that. And I would never forget the teacher telling me, oh, well, if you burn this, then you're going to run the budget and we're not going to have enough food. So, things like that, it makes you think when you're, have to grow up and buy a home and you have to budget for things, and that's a very good thing to learn.
Teaching the trades, plumbing, electrical, construction, etc.
Yes, that would be awesome to be able to have shop was huge back when, and just things that not everybody's going to go into certain areas or computer or whatever, but we need those trades. We need electricians, we need plumbers. Definitely after that ice storm, we know that for sure.
How about mask mandates and social distancing when youth have virtually zero issues with COVID-19?
Okay, repeat that one again.
Mask mandates and social distancing when youth have virtually zero issues with COVID-19.
Well, I think we need to get back to just letting the kids learn. And a lot of times with the learning, I know people that are they teach speech. That was very difficult for them. And I've realized how much I rely on watching someone speak to see their mouth and to see them talk. But just imagine an autistic kid or a kid that has speech problems and they can't see your mouth when you are trying to teach them. Also, my son was dyslexic, so it was very important for him to see the expressions. He had tactile issues, the expressions, the mouth moving, and that is very important to, I think, all the students, for us to see each other smile and interact, and to be able to, a big part of school is their friends and hanging out with their friends. So I think we need to get back to learning and breathing air.
All right. Students in sports being required to wear masks while competing.
That is not, I am not a doctor or a physician. I do have friends, and they said it's not even effective. Masks were for a sterile environment. And they said it's not doing any good. In fact, it's hurting, and it can hurt their lungs. And there has been people that have passed out. In fact, I just had one person that told me that their friend that had gotten COVID and it affected her lungs, but they said that the mask probably wearing the mask all the time may have been what caused it to be affected even a lot worse than what they already were.
Changing the name of schools.
I think that was a waste of time and a waste of money, and that would just be the beginning. That let's teach history, let's teach the kids to read, write, and arithmetic, but to be fighting over the names and to be spending over $100,000 in our budget just to change names of one school is just not an effective way to educate our kids.
All right, going to change off of bullet points, back to questions. Would you be willing to stand up for the betterment of our children against TEA mandates?
Yes.
Okay. If our community does not want these or other progressive, secular, anti-faith standards in our schools, would you fight to bring back godly standards to our local school system?
Yes, I definitely. And we're talking about godly standards, is, like I said, the citizenships awards, the honesty, encouraging honesty and integrity and the virtues and hard work ethic. Those are things that I think we all can agree on, that when you get out, I mean, you're going to need those to work and to provide for yourself and your families. And
so what would you be willing to do to fight?
I would be willing to say the word no. To not be, even if I'm the only one that's voting no. But I also do a lot of research. I do. And if there's a program presented, I will look into it and research it and see if that is really what's best for our students, especially since it will be something that the taxpayers are going to be paying for. And I think we are, it's very important that the programs we have are educating our kids for good and for them to be successful in life.
Okay. Do you think there should be an exit test for students to show they can handle basic life skills, basic employable work requirements, and not simply passed along to keep the numbers looking great in order to receive their diploma?
I think so, and I think if we had assessments even, and then you can see where the students are struggling and they can put a little bit of extra effort. I mean, these are helpful in making sure that if they're struggling in a certain area of math and you just keep going, they're going to be totally lost. So you may need to take a little extra time and say, okay, we really need to make sure they understand this concept before we just keep going, and then they're totally lost. I know, because I had a really hard time in math, so I did have to get some help when it came to geometry. Because geometry was really tough for me, so just to keep going on through it, I would just been, I wouldn't have learned anything.
Okay, the budget and overseeing facilities are a large part of the responsibilities of the school board. Share your ideas on how to keep our facilities in good repair and updated without busting the bank.
Well, we should stay within our budget, and we have $100 million last time I knew as a starting budget. That's we should be able to maybe look at what is top priority, what is very, very super important to get fixed. And we need to work on that and not think that we've got to do everything all at the same time, or do things that are not really that necessary, but to fix up things like if we needed a ramp in a school, or we needed, something is broken, we need to fix it, and that kind of things, just priorities.
Okay. Do you think our current financial structure, budget-wise, is too top-heavy administratively? And would you be willing to trim at the top to allow more funds to be utilized at the actual school level?
Yes. There is I think in light of all the economic issues right now with businesses struggling in our city and what's going on at all levels of government at the moment, that I really don't think that we should be even thinking about raises for top administration or adding anymore, when we need to look at our grades in our schools and incentivize our teachers. And I don't think that we should be adding any more administration, and maybe even, yes, we need to cut down a little bit, because there is a top heavy, and if you look at how much they make, and I don't have the exact numbers right now, that it is very top heavy.
Do you prefer automatic pay raises or more of a merit-based raise, and why?
I am for merit-based raises, because if you're just doing an automatic raise, then there's no incentive for teachers to become better themselves, or any of the workers. You need some incentive, and that always gave them incentive. If you were teacher, you were one of the top teachers, and they gave you some incentives to keep going, or and the other teachers are like, oh, I want to be a top teacher, and I want some of those benefits. But if you just got this automatic raise, it tends, like, I think all of us tend to slack off a little bit if it's just something automatic that we're not paying attention to.
Okay. If parents are not happy with what TEA is requiring, what are you willing to do to be their voice to the state?
Okay, repeat that.
Okay. If parents are not happy with what TEA is requiring, what are you willing to do to be their voice at the state?
Well, I'm definitely willing to go testify. I am willing to speak out for the parents, but I also, first of all, want to listen to the parents, and because these are their kids. This is our kids. When I, my kids were in school, those are my kids, and we love them very much, and we want the best for them. And so I'm willing to have sessions where we can just listen to parents and have them speak and say what's on their minds, and then I am willing to go to the Capitol if I need to and speak out on some of these things.
Describe what you envision as being the representative for the people who vote you into this position on the school board.
Okay, repeat that.
Describe what you envision as being the representative for the people who vote you into this position on the school board.
Well, I'm not quite sure but what I see as
what do you envision doing?
We're serving our community. We're serving and I envision being a top school that people look at our community, at our town, and say, wow, what are they doing over there? The kids are on fire for learning, and they're living within their budget, and the taxpayers are happy, and the parents are involved in doing it. It's so important for parents to be involved. It really is. This is their children, and the more parents are involved, the more excited they get about their students learning. And it's just a whole, you can't go wrong with that scenario. It's very much, I feel like we can get people excited, the whole community excited about, and to back our future generation. And maybe businesses get involved, or whoever, and say, get kids excited about different kinds of areas of work and businesses, and just that kind of thing. Final
thoughts or remarks you'd like to give?
Well, I hope you vote for me. I was going to have one of my signs and hold it up, but I do have a few signs, and I love some support. But I have my schools are Bowie and Bonham, and McGill. So if anybody's in those areas, of course you can vote for me. And I just want to see parents get involved, pay attention to what your students are learning and what programs that the school and what the curriculum is in the schools and what they're teaching them. And if anything, just to get everybody more informed on what's going on.
So if somebody wants to reach out to you, support, whatever, do you have Facebook page, website, phone number, email address? How do they need to reach you?
They can be my Facebook friend. They can send it to address 25 Diana Lane, San Angelo, Texas 76904. I do have an email. You can reach out, and it's LLUCAS3938@AOL.com, and you can ask me questions. You can reach out to me and however you want. I do have a phone number too. I'm pretty open with this, so be nice. It's 325-227-9639. And you could text me. You could ask a question that way, or I'm very open to having communication.
All right. Well, thank you for your time so much today, and all the best in your
Thank
campaign.
you. Thank you. Have a good day.